What's happening, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of The Final Third. It is me, Sam, aka FIFA Brit, and I am joined by Mr. Brad Thomas. Sorry we weren't around last week. I was sick, I had a sore throat, and basically couldn't talk. And if you guys know me, not having a voice is probably the worst thing that could happen to me, although I'm sure it was a relief to everyone that surrounds me. Should probably lead with the fact that we are about to go into a bit of a Christmas break. We probably aren't going to be around for the next 2 weeks, but we should be back probably, I guess, the second week of January. But that's just the way it goes. It's Christmas time, so we're going to be around with our families. But you know what? We'll miss you very dearly, and we will have loads to talk about when we get back. But let's not talk about that now. We got a whole episode to get through. We got stuff to talk about, so we got to yap for as long as possible. And by that, I mean we have like 45 minutes because Brad has to leave early. Anyway, Brad, sorry. Not to go on for like a minute, but how are you doing? I haven't seen you in years.
Dude, I'm
years.
good,
It's been
man.
2 weeks.
Feels like my luck turned around a little bit. I remember last time we recorded, I was going through a little rough patch, but things have turned around, just sticking to it, just keep grinding, kind of dodge those landmines. I think we're getting to the point of the season now, too, where the landmines have been a little bit more obvious. We're like, oh, this game's gonna suck. Don't bet.
Yeah, and then we say that, and then I keep getting trapped by it. Like I keep I should know in my heart of hearts that betting the EFL Cup especially on young players is probably not a good idea when they could get subbed off. And that's what I get for putting a full unit on Ethan Nwaneri props. I mean, it looked too good to be true. His shot on target was minus 125. His goal was like plus 450. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to split a unit on that. He's been killing it in the cup. And then he gets subbed at halftime. And it's just like, okay, yeah, I should have seen that coming. But the odds looked really good. Should I have put a full unit on it? In hindsight, probably not. But, it was tempting. So, I don't know. I've still been getting fucked on early subs. And also, lately, this really fucking annoying thing has been happening to me where I continue to get reversed in like every single way. So if I take a guy to score, he gets an assist. If I take a guy to assist, he scores a goal. If I bet on a guy for a goal or an assist, he'll and then if he doesn't play the full game, he'll sub off. The guy that comes on for him will do what I needed to happen. God. I mean, like, I almost got, and like the Juventus game that just happened almost like fucked me like every which way and not in a fun way because I bet on a Vlahovic goal and a Conceição assist. Of course it was Yildiz that gets the assist. And then Conceição scores the goal. I mean, he started jacking shots in the second half out of nowhere. And I wanted to live bet him for a goal, but I was just like, it's the cup. If I live bet him for a goal, he's going to get subbed off like really quickly. And then, of course, he got subbed off right after he scored a goal. Then Tim Weah subs in, and I shit you not, I was thinking about taking Weah for a live goal because I was like, yeah, well, I keep getting reversed. I might as well take Weah for a goal. And then thank God I didn't because then Weah got the assist on the Nico goal. Because if I taken him live for a goal and then he assisted, I would have been so fucking pissed. I'd have been out the window.
I would have cried.
It was just like, and that's been happening to me literally for the last like week or two. I think it's happened like 10 times. I mean, it's been absurd.
That's brutal. That's so brutal.
Yeah, but honestly, I hit a banger on Wednesday, so that really kind of made up for it. Because this is what I love this, by the way, just a random midweek fixture. Ligue 1 had Monaco PSG on a random Wednesday afternoon, and I was like, oh, fuck, like in the middle of like the Italian Cup, like the EFL Cup, there's just like a random league game, and I was just like, oh shit, wait, this is kind of sick. I'm going to watch this game. And then, so I did PSG's like new like phenom, the guy that's like hopefully fingers crossed going to become like the next Mbappe. He's like pretty young. Is Desiree Doué. He's a really versatile player. He can play up front. He can play the wing. He can play center mid. Very versatile young player. It's really talented. I took him to score an assist, Ousmane Dembele to score an assist, Ben Seguir to score an assist, and Akliouche to score an assist. I was like, I'm going to pick the two guys on each team that I think are going to contribute. Yeah. And then, it was beautiful. I think Doué got the assist. No, maybe they all scored. No, Akliouche, I think 3 of them scored. Ben Seguir scored a pen. Dembele and Doué both scored, and Akliouche got the assist. And it ended up being like, it was an absolute banger. It was a 4-2 game. Because what I've been doing, well, not recently, but like anytime I think there's a game that's going to be like a ton of goals, that's the game I highlight for like a props lotto. Like if I can bet both teams to score over 2.5, then I will do that as my straight bet. But then if I'm looking for like fun games to parlay a bunch of goals and assists, it'll be that game. Like for example, if I didn't get the Spurs Man U game, or I did, it was on DraftKings, but I didn't have many props for it. But that would have been a game where I bet player props, and obviously it ended up being an absolute insane 4-3 craziness. But so those are the games I target, and I typically do a goal, an assist for one team, and a goal and an assist for another team. And I kept getting reversed, and I was just like, fuck it. We'll just take to score and assist on all of them. Now, the problem is on FanDuel, there to score and assist props are kind of like, the odds kind of suck. Okay. And I mean, I think they're kind of pricing in the fact that you can get a FanDuel assist. And typically, if the odds are, like if I can get something for plus 2,000 on FanDuel and it's plus 2,500 somewhere else, I'll take the FanDuel odds. It's, you know, that much of a slight difference. I'll take it on FanDuel because there are different ways that you can cash the assists. But that to score an assist lotto on FanDuel was about plus 2,200 on Bally and Bet Rivers, whatever Camby book you have. I have Bally. It was plus 5,500. So I was like, fuck yeah. Okay, I'll put $10 on that, 55 to 1. Fucking love it. Let's do that. This game should have goals. And then that fucking smacked just out of nowhere. And I was so happy because it had been, my volume has been low. So I'm not like losing a lot, which is good. Yeah. But, I've only got like 3 or 4 bets out like a day right now while I'm still like, figuring stuff out. But like most of them are losing. And it's just like a steady, just like declining, at least the last week has been pretty rough. Yeah, and this was really helpful. This went a long way, and I was very happy about it.
That's sick. That's really freaking sick.
So that made up for it because I've been getting, and it sucks too because it's like I mean I don't know. I don't want to be the guy that says like they weren't like it was the right read. Because like I feel I don't want to be that guy. If a bet loses, a bet loses. You're not going to get any money from beating the closing line or getting the right read. But I will happily admit when it was the wrong read. Like I took Dallo today for shots, and he had like some of the most created chances. So today, no, that wasn't the right read. He wasn't getting into shooting positions. So be it. Sometimes he shoots, sometimes he doesn't. I'm fine putting my hands in the air and being like, okay, yep, I got that one wrong, and so be it. But like, I've been betting on guys to assist recently. I've been targeting really nice, like long assist props at like above 5 to 1. Something even close to like 10 to 1. And I shit you not, every time I've taken them, they've either had the most chances created or like the highest expected assist on like in the entire game. And it's been so frustrating. I think the worst example was this guy on Roma. I haven't really noticed him until the last couple of weeks. I can't pronounce his last name, but his first name is Saud or something like Saud. It's like a really long like Amundilla or like something like that. There's a bunch of other letters in there. I just don't know how to say it. And he's been playing right wing back for Roma recently. And his assist was priced at like plus 2,200. And like anytime you can get like on a wing back for an assist, especially one that's like in like that in the Roma setup where you're running a 3-4-2-1, those
game where they're gonna score a ton.
Those wing backs are gonna be like bombing up and down the field. Yeah. And so I was just like, okay, that's an insane price. Like he was like considered like the low, he was literally the lowest guy on the assist. I'm like, yo, are you telling me this guy has a lower chance of assisting than a fucking center back? No, it's not. That's wrong. So I took his assist. I think this was last week at this point. He scores just to spite me. And it was so annoying too, because he was through on goal and Dovbyk was basically made a great run. And all he had to do was like literally just square it. All he had to do was square it. Dovbyk is right there. You square that, that's a free tap in, but he decides to smash it near post. And do you know what? Fair play. It was a sick goal. And I think it was his first goal for the club. So like fair play. I can't be mad. It was a really good finish. And then he squared it to Dovbyk. You know, he created so many chances. And then right at the very end, he squared it to Dovbyk. And Dovbyk fucking whiffed it. He didn't even get a shot off. He I don't know how he fucked up his run. But if he makes any contact with his left foot, it's going in. It was like a perfectly weighted ball. And he just completely fucked up his run. And the guy and Saud had the most expected assist in the entire game, and that's not even including that chance because Dovbyk didn't register a shot, so he doesn't get any expected assists for that. It doesn't count because he didn't get the shot off. And I was just like, you got to be fucking kidding me. I mean, that was so frustrating. And I put that one out on Twitter, and I played it slightly heavier than I usually play those for like a tenth of a unit. I did this at 0.2 because I was like, I know this should be like at least half the odds of what we're actually getting. Yeah. So I was like, I want to take advantage of that, and it was just so frustrating because if that hits, that's like fucking that's like almost $500 right there. And I was just like, you gotta be kidding me! It was such a and I watched that game too. I never watch Roma game because they usually fucking suck. But I watched that Roma game, and it was the most frustrating experience. That being said, I've taken him now twice. He still hasn't got an assist, and his assist is consistently priced above 10-1. So I'm going to keep taking it because he's going to get one. Like eventually, he's going to get one, and I will because I know if I don't take it, he will get one. That's exactly how it's going to go. So as long as they keep listing it above 10-1. I will take that. I will take it. And if I end up like breaking even on the play eventually, so be it, but like I need to be there when he gets his first one because I know it shouldn't be priced this way.
Yeah. I hope you hit it soon.
Yeah. We will see. We'll see. Otherwise I usually don't touch Roma games, but he's playing very well, and if he keeps getting priced this way, then why not take it?
Yeah.
Alrighty, let's talk about some of the stuff that happened while we were away. Let's start with the Manchester derby because, oh my goodness, that was a brilliant game. And, I mean, I just saw that, the Man U Spurs game that just happened was electric, but this is going to play into that. Amad Diallo is a brilliant player, and I'm so happy. But look, he's a Man U player, and I'm not happy that Man U. I mean, it's funny because I can't even be happy that Man U are doing well because they're not really doing well. Yeah. But Diallo's a brilliant player, and it's so the fact that he was able to adapt into Amorim's system so quickly is so impressive for such a young player who's basically only played as a right winger. The fact that he slotted into that right wing back role so quickly and can now either play in the right hand forward in the 2-1 at the top of the attack or play wing back. He can play both of those positions really well, and basically looks like the most dangerous Man U player every time he's on the field. It's really good to see, and I love betting him too now because his assist was plus 400 against Man City. Technically he didn't get one because he cashed it on FanDuel because he got fouled for the pen. But that counts. That's money. That counts.
That's a win. I love how they do that.
Yeah, me too. But yeah, technically he got a goal and an assist. And then if you don't count FanDuel assists, he got an actual goal and an actual assist in the Spurs game in the cup. So you know what? And that was off the bench. He played less than a half. So fair play. That is he's a real baller. So Man U should consider themselves quite lucky they managed to get him.
I thought that derby was funny because I know during it was Bet US show where Flash was all over City, and I was like, not a chance. I had one of my followers before the game was like, I should bet this, right? And it was like plus 490 on United to win.
Yes, that was on one of my tweets. It was in the reply to one of my tweets. I remember that. Yeah.
I was like, I should bet this. I was like, yeah, you should. Why not? And then I'm like watching the game, and I'm like, God, I don't think either team are playing that well. And then all of a sudden we get fireworks at the end. Get owned, City. Get old, slow players.
Yeah. It was so funny because I was so torn between, well, I wasn't torn. I ended up not playing the under. I wanted to, but I was torn between both teams to score over 2.5 and under 3.5, and it was 2-1. So they both, both the ways I was thinking about going for this game ended up hitting. And of course, I ended up not committing to either of them because I couldn't commit either way. I didn't know which one I liked more. I was like, these are both very viable. I could see both ways this happens. And of course, it happened literally the only possible score combo where both of those could happen.
That's actually
But like, I'm annoyed with myself because I really did consider the under 3.5. You know, it was at minus 130. It's a little juicy, but like, you know, I just didn't want to. I just couldn't trust Man U's defense. The fact that City only scored 1 goal is absurd to me. I mean, Spurs just scored 4. You know, I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, all these teams are a mess right now. I mean,
Dude.
City are a mess. United are a mess. Spurs are a mess.
The only team who's not a mess is freaking Chelsea.
Yeah,
they don't defend, but they're winning.
Yeah, you know what? That's fair enough. And they've got a really easy run of fixtures coming up. So they're going to be hanging around the top for a lot longer than I think people were expecting, even though it's kind of not really a fair representation because they are playing. I mean, I think they literally have the easiest schedule for the next month in the entire league.
Yeah.
So, I mean, look, we'll see. It's also so funny, too, because Enzo Maresca keeps insisting that Chelsea aren't in a title race. And it's so, I mean, it's funny because I think that's a really like cowardly thing to do. I mean, but like also I feel sorry for Chelsea and I feel sorry for him because it's so clear that the media is trying to do to Chelsea what they did to Arsenal 2 seasons ago in 22-23 when no one expected Arsenal to challenge for the league title.
Yeah.
No one did. We were aiming for top 4. That was the goal. The goal was top 4. And then, we had a really hot start. And then everyone loves to claim that Arsenal bottled that league. I'm not going to get into it, quote unquote, because I've had this conversation before and I don't want to go off about it. And frankly, there's no need for me to. I've talked about it way too much already. But to summarize the overall thesis of my point, you can't bottle something that you were never expected to win. And Arsenal not only were never expected to win when the season started, even though they had what some considered to be a decent lead, even though it didn't really account for the fact that City had like 2 games in hand on us and we hadn't played City yet. So that's essentially a 9-point swing that people just weren't accounting for. But the books were, because City, I think apart from maybe one, maybe 2 weeks, City were the odds-on favorite to win that league title the entire season. It and everyone will say, well, Arsenal had so-and-so lead, but City were very clearly the favorites, not just preseason, but also throughout the season. It did not matter how high Arsenal were in the table. So the media very clearly changed that narrative to basically be like, oh, Arsenal are now challenging for the league title, and if they don't win it, their season will be a failure. Yeah. Just when at the beginning of the season, the goal was top 4, and we smashed that. That to the point where that wasn't even a concern, and we came in second place. And they very clearly revised that just so they could frame Arsenal as having a bad season, even though we had a very good season that was ultimately derailed by Saliba getting injured. And again, I don't like to use injuries as an excuse, but we had Rob fucking Holding playing title deciding games. I'm sorry, you can't say that isn't a difference here. So, and it's so clear that is exactly what's going to happen to Chelsea here, because they are now being put in this conversation as title challengers. And as soon as they stumble, I think Chelsea will come. They will stumble. Chelsea will come 3rd or 4th, and they're gonna then Jamie Carragher or Gary Neville. I forget which one it was that came up with the $1 billion blue bottle jobs. Yeah. That brilliant alliterative nickname for Chelsea. They will bring that back the second that Chelsea fall out of this title race, and they will. So, I think Maresca is clearly anticipating that. The fact that he keeps saying it every week, I think, is kind of look, it's not weak, because he knows what the media is doing and he's playing into it. So I understand why he's saying it, but to insist on saying we're not in the title race, you can avoid the question and be like, we're playing right now, we're playing well right now, and we're just going to continue to try and play well. Take it one game at a time. You can have a tactical answer to that question that doesn't say yes, we're in a title race, but doesn't involve you saying no, we're not in the title race every single week. There's a happy medium to be found there.
That's like his armor.
Yeah, exactly. And so, in the grand scheme of things, it's not a big deal. I completely understand why he's doing it, because the media flip is inevitable. It's as soon as Chelsea have even the slightest dip in form, everyone's going to be like, yo, they spent 1.3 billion pounds on this squad. I mean, 100 of which might be going to waste because apparently Mudryk is a doper now, which is hilarious.
Bro, that was hilarious.
And then what was so funny is
can't even get in the main squad.
Yeah, and if he is doping, he's doping to become an average player in the Conference League. That's not worth it. Come on, he's not even playing in the Premier League. And then what was hilarious is Enzo Fernandez, 3 weeks ago, had a picture with Mudryk's trainer just after a workout, and everyone took the screenshot and was just like, "Yo, guys, maybe it wasn't the divorce. Maybe it was the juice."
That's great. That is.
I know. So funny. But yeah, so it's been fascinating to watch the Premier League the last couple of weeks. I mean, last weekend was frustrating as an Arsenal fan because, of course, Liverpool dropped points to Fulham, and then Arsenal just in the most frustrating 0-0 to Everton at home. I think that's the first game all season that Arsenal haven't scored at home, and it was an incredibly
it was
a really frustrating one.
Yeah, I bet you guys to win. I was like, I couldn't believe you guys didn't score. From the big picture, I can believe you guys didn't score.
Yeah.
But when I was watching it, I was like, yeah, this goal's coming any minute.
Yeah, I know. It is what it is. Pickford played very well, and it's so frustrating because he's just going to bend over for Chelsea this weekend. I can see it happening a mile away.
I already took Enzo to score or assist that.
Beautiful.
That's
gorgeous. Yeah, it's so frustrating. But look, he's a good keeper when he is on his day, and he was on his day against us. And when Odegaard isn't playing at his peak for Arsenal, it really does affect us so badly. He had 2 or 3 chances he should have scored. Saka had a volley that was on target that was blitzed at the bottom corner, and Pickford somehow got down. I mean, that's the commentators said that's the hardest shot. It's it's the one that's you have to drop down for because it's at your knee height or down on the ground, because that's the furthest distance you have to get down to as a goalkeeper to get your hand to. And just the fact that he was able to, I mean, Saka took this shot from inside the box, and Pickford somehow got down and got his left hand to it. And fair play, he played well, and yeah. Look, it is what it is. It's always frustrating to not win when Liverpool drop points.
Yeah.
And it's just a bummer. But it's very frustrating because people are just Arsenal are struggling to create chances from open play. And look, I understand we're very good at set pieces. We are. But I feel like people have a fundamental misunderstanding of what the problem is for Arsenal. The problem is not creating chances from open play. The problem is converting them.
Yeah.
It's if we were taking 5-6 shots a game and we had 0.3 xg, fair enough. That's a struggle to create chances.
Yeah.
But we're putting up 2 xg every game.
Yeah.
And even if you take away set pieces from that, because and I'll admit this, the number is kind of inflated because every time we score one of those point blank headers, it registers as 0.9 xg because it's a Gabriel or Saliba header from literally an inch away from the goal line. Yeah. So that's always going to jack the xg up, and I understand that. But I think we had 2 xg against Everton, and we didn't score a goal. So
listen,
that's not the problem.
It literally looked like you guys were going to score.
Exactly, and a lot of people complain about how advanced statistics are getting in the way of football discourse. I view them as a tool, but when I say Arsenal have a high XG, you want to put that into common parlance. It means what Brad just said. We looked like we were going to score, and we should have fucking scored.
Yeah,
that's what that means. So I don't understand how people can say you're struggling to create chances, because it's there's a fundamental difference between creation and conversion, and Arsenal very clearly have a problem with conversion.
Yeah.
So a striker would be lovely. And I'll take a different left wing as well. That being said, Gabriel Jesus had a fucking banger of a game midweek, dude, and he looks confident. And it's amazing how good his finishes get when he's confident. So we could see him start against Palace because we're playing Palace again this weekend. So hey, we'll see.
Yep,
we will see.
I was gonna hammer his shots. It was only -160.
For how many shots?
3.
For 3 shots. Yeah, I figured that would be his line. Yeah, that's a really good one.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have player props for that game in New York. I did end up making the. I like made the trip just because I was like, I have time, so I like hopped on the train just to get Nwaneri props. It was the biggest waste of time, so I was just like, fuck that. I'm not doing that for the Thursday game. I can't do it. And then of course it was an absolute banger. Oh yeah. So be it. And then we had a couple of manager firings. We finally got the ones that we were predicting. O'Neill he survived El Sacico for a single week, and then he lost to Ipswich.
1 week and then bounced.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you get beat by Ipswich, that's it. I'm sorry, that's it.
Yes, that's like the writing on the wall. Like, I'm surprised he lasted that long. But like when I was hearing, like other like commentators talk, they were like, everyone in the dressing room loves him, so it's like hard to get rid of him. No, it's not. If you're not winning, it's not hard to get rid of.
Yeah, and to be fair, I felt sorry for him. I mean, he had to go; the results just weren't there. But Wolves very clearly sold all of their best players and then just simply didn't bring anyone else in. You know, you get rid of Neto, you lose Kilman.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's, you know, they did not replace those players, not properly. So I sympathize with him to a certain extent, but they were just not playing well. And it's not like Wolves don't have good players on that team. They have, you know, you have to make the most of Cunha while you have him, because I feel like Cunha leaving in the summer feels almost inevitable at this point.
Yeah, it's good. He's out.
He's gone. Yeah, I mean Cunha or Bowen to Man U feels like the most predictable £50 million transfer you can ever see. That's just the kind of player that they would love over there. So that feels predictable.
Yeah,
you know, I mean, Ait Nouri's a great player. I think Larson. I don't think they even own him. I think he's a season-long loan. I think he might be a loan. I'm not sure. I'd have to double-check that, but I think he's a loan. Maybe there's a buy clause in there. Not 100% sure, but again, make the most of it. If you only have him for this season, make the most of it, you know?
Yeah.
And then, you know, Ait Nouri, Cunha, Larson, you've got quality, you know, Semedo is decent. You know, you've got good players here. You shouldn't be in the relegation zone. You should be solidly in the middle of the bottom half of the table.
Yep.
Shouldn't be struggling as much as they are. And then, of course, Russell Martin got sacked by Southampton. And that feels inevitable. And I don't feel sorry for him, because he was just simply trying to force Southampton to play in a way they can't.
Yeah, it was like, dude, you don't have to play this possession-based football if you can't, right? Like, It's just so dumb.
Yeah, it makes no sense. I mean, it's all Bayern's fault, because Vincent Kompany did the same thing with Burnley. Yeah. And then he got a job at Bayern. You know, like, Burnley played really well in the Championship. You know, Vincent Kompany masterminded a brilliant promotion campaign. Yeah. And then tried to continue playing that style of football in the Premier League, and you just can't do that. And it didn't work. And, you know, it's so, you know, managers seem to be trying more and more to sort of like inflict, and I use that word very deliberately because it feels like they are inflicting their mentality onto a team that isn't capable of playing that way in the Premier League. Yeah. The Championship is very different. It's, you know, the Championship is, some call it, relatively speaking, a harder league than the Premier League. But if you're good in the Championship, then you will dominate the Championship. Yeah. And you can't translate that style of play to the Premier League. Vincent Kompany did it, got relegated, and then got rewarded with a job at Bayern Munich. So I see why. Yeah, I see why these managers are doing it, because they think they're going to get snapped up by a bigger squad. But, like, there's no shame in being good at playing scrappy, avoid relegation at all costs football. Sean Dyche has made an entire career out of it.
Yep.
It's great. I mean, like, you see these clubs, and it's brilliant, because, like, these clubs that are threatened by relegation will, you know, usually, if it's not going well, will end up firing their manager in the middle of the season. And then they inevitably bring in the specialist that is good at getting out of these scraps. You know, I'm talking your Sean Dyches, your Roy Hudsons, like managers like that are, you know, have masterminded the relegation escape.
Yep.
And are just good at working on limited resources and just, you know, implementing a very simple, you know, scrappy counterattack, prioritized defense style of play that will get you out of the relegation zone, and just, you know, you finish 16th, 17th, cool. As long as it's not 18, 19, or 20, That's good. That's money. That's all you need to do. And, Russell Martin insisted on playing this play out the back style of football that a lot of good teams can handle, but his players simply cannot. And I mean, Southampton were giving the ball away at an absurd rate.
Giving it away, not scoring. Like,
it
was such bad football. Like, if you don't have the talent, to run the tactics you want, you have to be able to adapt.
I have a similar criticism of Ange, because Ange, I've said this before, Ange refuses to adapt his style of play. I think, and God forbid me for saying this, I think a good manager has different styles of different tactics that you can adapt. One, to your opponent. Different opponents require different approaches. And two, to different in-game situations. You should not be playing the same way if you're up 2-0 than if you're down 2-1 or 3-1. That requires a different style of football. And Ange does not change his strategy whatsoever. And he continued to have the centre-backs. He had a free kick near the halfway line. I think this is for Man U's second goal. A free kick near the halfway line. And instead of sending that into the box, he played it back to the centre-backs and then had that recycled to Forster. And Forster is not Vicario.
He has this obsession with trying to play out the back. It's like, we have the ball. Oh my God, we have to play at the back. We have to play at the back. We have the ball. We have to play out the back. It is insane.
Yeah. We used to, people used to make jokes about Arsenal doing that. This Arsenal podcast I used to listen to made a joke about the Emirates force field. They'd be like, Arsene Wenger would never sign a direct player that would just take a shot. You play the ball out to the winger, and if he's through on goal, he would stop, recycle it, put it back to the edge of the box. Now play it back to the center mid. Oh, he's through on goal. Quick. No, recycle the ball. And that was this was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because it was so true at the time. And teams still do it. And it's just, it's remarkable to me that you don't have at least a second tactical option, and it's so prevalent, especially with teams trying to play it out of the back. You don't have to do it. Yeah. Sometimes you can just boot it long. It's you're not going to go to hell for it. Give it a go. Especially if you have a keeper that's not comfortable with the ball at his feet. But hey, that's the state of the game.
Yep.
Let's talk about this weekend.
Let's do that. I'm excited for the Premier League.
Before we absolutely talk about the games that are coming up. We've got a great early morning kickoff. We have Aston Villa against Man City. And this is going to be fun. I don't know if it's going to be high scoring, but I think it's going to be entertaining.
Some freaking BS is going to happen during this game. I already know it. I'm trying to tell myself, don't put any money on this game. Villa at home, City in bad form.
I know. I don't want to bet it. I really don't want to bet it, but I will be up to watch it.
Yes, I'll watch it. I cannot trust it. That's for sure.
It in my head, it just has the most bullshit 1-0 City win written all over it. Early morning kickoff, usually shit, and I just don't, But then I say that, and then City just concede the most random stuff, Maybe Jean Duran scores another 30-yard goal. Who knows? Can't predict it. You can't predict this.
He's going to come in and score the 30-yard goal.
Yeah, exactly. Well, to be fair, I think he was starting. I think the last game, they started alongside each other.
They did, yeah.
It's an interesting approach.
I bet Duran to score, and I was like, come on, hurry up and score the goal. And then now he scores late, and I was like, I can't believe he was still in the game.
Yeah, honestly, there are some guys that I just prefer to come off the bench. Leandro Trossard for Arsenal is a big one. I don't like it when he starts because he's not as good. But a super sub in the 70th minute, yeah, give me that shit. He hasn't done it recently because he's had to start games, but he used to be last season especially. I think he was joint most goals off the bench in the league last season. He was Mr. Clutch. But yeah, hey, we'll see. I don't know if I'm going to bet this game because it's one of those games where you could sell me on anything. It's City money line at minus 135. Yeah, sure. Talk me into it. Whatever it is, literally don't bet.
Yeah, it's literally when I was putting down wagers, I had three things on my notepad, and I was just I can't get down with this. What am I doing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel that. It should be an interesting one though. Let's talk about Brentford against Forest. This is hilarious because you could have said this before the season began. You'd be like, "Oh, what do you think about Brentford against Forest? Does that sound like a fun fixture to you?" And you'd be like, "Well, that sounds like the most mid-table fixtures in the world. Maybe even a relegation battle if teams are struggling." Brentford lost Ivan Toney and didn't sign a new striker. Everyone was so low on these teams. Forest were expected to be like bottom half of the table, and now we have like Brentford Brentford still. I mentioned this last time. Brentford still have that absurd home and away record. They still haven't lost at home. They still haven't won away. Meanwhile, Forest are Forest are above City in the league table right now. It's incredible.
It's insane. And I was so excited to bet this game, like you said. I took both teams to score in over 2.5 because I just feel like there's gonna be so many goals in this game. Literally, one thing that was pretty crazy that I saw: Brentford have scored 2 or more goals in every home match except against West Ham, which was pretty crazy.
Yeah. I love the over. I love both teams to score over 2.5. I think Brentford money line at plus 130 is not disrespectful because I'm not trying to disrespect Forest. They're a very good team. But the fact that you can get Brentford at that kind of odds, even their tie no bet at minus 140 is very much in play for me. Forest are a good team. Don't get me wrong. Forest are a good team, but they can be inconsistent. They've recently. They've proven that they can just get like ripped apart and not really, create anything. Spamming crosses to Chris Wood's head is not a viable long-term strategy, even though he is a brilliant striker in the form of his life right now, relatively speaking. Brentford at home is really hard to ignore. I feel like it's one of those things where you look at it and you think, oh, this is too good to be true. You can't keep this up. And then, eventually the streak dies and you were like, shit, I made no money off that streak. I think I said this, I can't remember if it was the last episode or the episode before that, just because we've skipped a couple of weeks. But when Brentford were playing Newcastle at home in the league, they were massive underdogs. And I was like, their tie no bet alone is like plus 140. And they won, what was it, 4-2 or something like that? Again, you look at that game and you say, well, Newcastle are a good team, but they're shit away from home, and Brentford are really good at home. So Brentford tie no bet feels like a good deal to me. And then, I ended up not taking it. So I'm at fault here. Yeah. I'm just kind of complaining about the fact that I haven't capitalized on this trend, but maybe this time I will. But to be fair, minus 140 on a tie no bet feels a little steep.
Not great.
Little steep. Maybe the double chance in the over. Maybe if you parlay Brentford double chance in over 1. Maybe even over 1.5. Although that's probably too juicy, but we'll see. I'll play around with that. But Brentford double chance is only minus 270. Yeah, if you parlay the double chance in the over 1.5, it's minus 150. That's very juicy, but it's also a very likely scenario here. But I feel like both teams to score over 2.5 is probably the move here. I would be hard pressed to believe that Brentford keep a clean sheet.
Yeah,
but we will see. Let's talk about West Ham against Brighton. I'm not going to talk about it for too much, but this is one of those games, and you guys know it. You know when I say this. One of those games where I look at it and I go, yeah, this has got goals written all over it.
Yeah. I think it's goals written all over it. I just, I was like looking at the pricing, and I was like, I'm just going to take West Ham to get a shit ton of corners. But, West Ham concede a ton first, too. So it also sets up really nicely. And recently they've been going after corners a lot. I think we see goals, though. Neither team defends. Both teams are going to shoot. And I think that after Brighton's last match, they're going to want to put on a performance.
Yeah, I agree. This feels like a lot of shots, a lot of goals, assuming they can actually convert those shots, which was the problem with the West Ham Bournemouth game. Tons of shots, and tons of shots, a brilliant end-to-end game, and then you get 2 goals, both from direct set pieces after the 87th minute. I don't know how there were no open play goals. I know a lot of people I know had both teams to score over 2.5, and that's one of those games where you'd be like, yeah, do you know what? That was the right read. There should have been a third goal in this game somewhere. But, assuming they can convert their shots, I think that game will be pretty high scoring.
Right? It can't just happen again where it's just all these shots and no goals.
Yeah, I was bummed as well because I laddered Utara and Soler shots together Utara wasn't really worth taking straight. He's kind of he used to get priced as a left back because he was a left back, and then he started playing as a winger. So I laddered his first half shots back when those were a thing.
Yeah,
and of course he only ever got like he got one, and then like he never. I think there were a couple of times he got the second, but both times they got disallowed by VAR. Oh. And his two first half shots was like between like 5 and 10 to 1, depending on who they were playing, because he was getting priced as as a left back.
Yeah.
Now he's actually getting priced as a winger, so his line for full game was 2.5. But he took like 5 or 6 shots. And then I laddered him with Soler, who didn't really shoot much. And then really in the past, 3 or 4 games, he's been shooting a lot more. He had like 2, 4, 2, back-to-back games of 4 shots, I think. And then, of course, he got an early yellow card and he got subbed at halftime. And I was just like, you're fucking kidding me. Because he ended on 1. So that pissed me off. But I guess I was about to say if he starts, he won't start because he just got his 5th yellow card. But that means that maybe we get Thomas Souček at attacking mid. So we'll see. It opens up a lot of possibilities.
The corners too, which would be free shots.
Yeah. Let's talk about Man U against Bournemouth. This, again, I think could be a lot of fun because I really like Bournemouth. I can't tell if Bournemouth are good or not, but I enjoy watching them play. And fuck knows what's going on with Man U. They are the most. I mean, there are several teams that are competing for the most inconsistent. Man U, Spurs, City. I mean, obviously City. But all these teams are struggling right now, and it's just like, which one's going to turn up on the day? This one should be a lot of fun.
I was talking about Bournemouth, and I was like, this is a team where you're like, are they good?
Yeah,
like they keep getting results. And you're like, how do you keep getting results? Like, Are you good? Are you not good? I don't understand. Yeah.
I was listening to another podcast. I listen to other podcasts, by the way.
Yeah.
It's, it might be sacrilege, but I do. And they were saying the thing about Bournemouth is they are good at creating sort of like chaotic game states because they typically chase games. And they're good at creating chaos. And it was just like, in general, if you're playing from behind, you like creating chaos because that destabilizes the game and it gives you more chances to get back into a game. What Bournemouth are not good at is going up and controlling a game because they're so used to creating chaos that when they actually do have a lead, they struggle with it because they're not used to control. Whereas like Arsenal are the polar opposite. Arsenal are brilliant at game control, but don't create chaos because Arteta fucking hates chaos. And so when we're losing, it's really difficult for us to get back into a game because he's I'm not going to say he's risk averse, but he's not a guy that will risk losing control of a game to create that one extra chance.
Yeah.
And so, maybe that is risk averse. Maybe that is what risk averse is. And I just want to defend Arteta. Either way, he is a control guy. He's not a chaos guy. Bournemouth are the opposite. But they're playing Man U, who are just full chaotic at every time and wouldn't know the word control if you spelled it out for them. So, again, I think this could be a really fun game when we go back and forth and we see goals here.
Yeah, I agree. Let's talk about the Tottenham-Liverpool game because I'm getting so close to taking Liverpool to score 3 or more goals.
Mm-hmm.
I just cannot trust Tottenham defensively. I think it's like plus 125 for them to score 3. Tottenham play out the back. They get pressed. They're going to give the ball up. There's going to be a bunch of goals in this game. It's already a 3.75 goal total right now.
The fact that under 3.5 is plus 116 on FanDuel, that's just that you just know. I mean, the fact that and I say this about this fixture every time. It's just like the under looks so tempting, but this game is finishing like 3-1, 4-1, 4-2. It's gonna have. I just can't do it. I mean, I would look at Liverpool double chance and under like 4 or 5.5. That could be fun, but this game, I'm just gonna sit back and enjoy it.
Yeah.
Liverpool really should be racking up the goals because Spurs cannot defend for shit. While Romero and Van der Ven are going to be out until the new year, and fuck knows what's going on with Vicario. I think he broke his ankle. So Fraser Forster is in goal for at least another, for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
He's certainly going to be playing against Liverpool. I'm thinking about laddering Liverpool's shots. Their line is kind of high. It's around 17.5. 18 shots is a lot for a base. But against this Spurs team, especially if Spurs go up first, which is not as unlikely as you might think, Liverpool could easily rack up. 25 shots is 8-1, and I'm thinking about sprinkling that because Man U basically only dominated the last half an hour of this game in the cup, and they had 20 shots.
Yeah.
So who knows? We will see. I'm really looking forward to that game. There were a couple of games outside of the Premier League I wanted to talk about, mostly Barca Atletico and Bayern Leipzig, but honestly, I don't love them enough to talk about them. Barca Atletico could be fun, but also it feels like a massive hack fest. And also Atletico, both these teams are good, but this is not a game where I could say, yeah, there are going to be goals in this game, especially because Yamal is now out until the new year, because, like I said, Barca just keep fucking running their young players into the ground and just don't give them a rest, and they become injury prone. And Yamal is now 17 years old, and he's already suffering from being played, way too much. The last game he played in, apparently he asked to come off at halftime because he felt something wrong, and they made him go out there for the second half, and now he's hurt for the next month. Wow, maybe don't do that, Barcelona. Maybe don't do that. And then Bayern Leipzig, I think, will have goals, but I guarantee you it's the Bundesliga, and both teams to score over 2.5 will be like minus 170 or something ass.
I'm not touching that game.
Yeah.
Not even remotely.
Because Leipzig aren't good, but Bayern aren't convincing either.
They're not good. I'm not getting sucked into the trap.
Yeah, fair enough. Can't argue with that. Brad, any other games that you wanted to talk about before we say goodbye?
No, I'm good. I feel like we did a pretty good job with timing and still covered a lot of stuff.
Yeah, we nailed that. And, when we chatted shit and just kind of, we vibed, we spent a good time, we spent a good amount of time having fun. We talked about the games and stuff, but, we were kind of shooting the shit for the first half. And, I like that vibe. Good stuff. Alrighty, Brad, anything you want to plug before we go?
Just the Twitter, the X account at MrBradThomas.
Yeah, that's right. And you guys can follow me on Twitter at FIFA Brit. Like I said, we won't have a podcast for the rest of the year. So happy, Merry Christmas, happy holidays, and, a happy new year. We'll see you guys in 2025. So if you want our free content, it will be on Twitter. So yeah, follow us on Twitter, Mr. Brad Thomas at FIFA Brit. And yeah, thank you very much to the Gold Boys Network for continuing to host this podcast. And if you guys haven't signed up for the Discord, you can do so at goldboys.com. Brad, it's been lovely to see you. I'm going to miss you for the next couple of weeks. But, best of luck. We got a lot of games coming up for this Christmas and New Year period. The Premier League loves to – we get like 2 games a week. It's beautiful. So we're going to have a lot of action going on. And, yeah, guys, thank you all for listening, and we will see you all in the new year. Peace out.